My wife thought I was a wimp until I followed her and discovered everything. It started with something as small as a perfume scent. Not hers, not mine. Just faint, clinging to her coat when she came home late one Thursday night. She said she'd been visiting her sick aunt, the one who lived 2 towns over. But I knew that aunt. She was lovely, but bedridden. And my wife, Claire, didn't smell like hospital corridors or home-cooked soup. She smelled like expensive cologne, the kind I'd never worn. That's when the clock in my head started ticking. Claire's aunt visits became a weekly thing. Always on Thursdays. She'd leave right after work, claiming she was bringing groceries, checking on medications. But she always came back around midnight. No groceries, no food containers. Sometimes her makeup looked fresher than when she'd left in the morning. I told myself I was imagining things, that maybe I was becoming paranoid. But then, one Thursday, she forgot her phone on the kitchen counter. I'm not proud of what I did next, but curiosity has a way of eating through your morality. I unlocked it. No passcode change. But her messages were suspiciously clean. No texts from friends. No family group chat. Not even from her boss. Instead, in her recent browser history, I found a map search. Grandview Hotel. Rates and suites. My stomach dropped. I decided the next Thursday would be different. That night, I followed her. She didn't see me. I stayed 2 cars behind, my headlights off when I could. She didn't drive toward her aunt's. She took a turn onto the highway, heading toward the city. My pulse was pounding, hands clenched around the steering wheel so hard I thought my knuckles might crack. 20 minutes later, she pulled into the parking lot of a sleek glass-fronted hotel. Not the kind of place you visit your sick aunt. I watched her step out, her hair loose, her heels clicking against the pavement. She was smiling, that soft, excited smile I hadn't seen in months. Then the lobby doors opened, and a tall man in a black coat walked toward her. She didn't hesitate. She threw her arms around him. He kissed her like they'd done it 1,000 times before. That's when my stomach turned to ice. I could have walked away, could have pretended I hadn't seen it. But something in me, maybe the same thing that had been whispering doubts for weeks, told me I needed to know everything. I needed to catch her in the act, with proof so undeniable she couldn't talk her way out of it. So I parked my car, grabbed my phone, and followed them into the hotel. The next few days I tried to convince myself I was overthinking. Claire had always been warm, caring, and fiercely loyal. We'd been married for 8 years, and I'd never had a reason to doubt her. But that scent, it kept replaying in my head like a song stuck on repeat. I couldn't ignore it. That Saturday, she announced she'd be visiting her aunt again. She even packed a tote bag with magazines, fruit, and what looked like a small box of chocolates. I kissed her goodbye, pretending to believe every word, but the second the door closed, I grabbed my keys and followed. She didn't notice me. She took her usual route out of town, but 20 minutes in, she made an unexpected turn, not toward her aunt's street, but toward the interstate. I stayed 2 cars behind, keeping my eyes on her brake lights. She drove for another 15 minutes before pulling into the parking lot of a business hotel. My heart started pounding. I told myself maybe she was meeting someone about work, maybe she was delivering something for her aunt. But deep down, I already knew the truth was going to hurt. She parked near the side entrance and got out, glancing around like she was checking for someone. Her tote bag was slung over her shoulder, and she walked quickly into the lobby. I pulled into a spot across the street and watched from behind my windshield. 10 minutes passed, then 15. She didn't come back out. My hands gripped the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. I wanted to go inside, demand answers, but I didn't want a scene without knowing exactly what I was walking into. Instead, I texted her, "How's your aunt doing?" She replied almost instantly, "Resting. I'll be here for a while." A lie. A bold one. And she had no idea I was sitting less than 100 yards away, watching the hotel door. I stayed there another half hour until I saw him. A tall man in a tailored navy suit walked out, and seconds later Claire followed. She was smiling in a way I hadn't seen in months. He reached for her hand, and she let him hold it. They didn't notice me when they crossed the lot and got into his car. My stomach twisted as they drove off together. I followed, keeping my distance, every nerve in my body on fire. Where they were going next would confirm everything, or destroy me completely. After that first night, I couldn't stop noticing the little details. Claire suddenly had a new energy about her, smiling at her phone, humming while cooking, taking extra care with her makeup even when she claimed she was just going to check on her aunt. She started leaving every Tuesday and Thursday evening, always with the same story. Her aunt's condition was getting worse, and she needed help with groceries, cleaning, and emotional support. The first couple of times I didn't question it, but then I realized something. She never brought back anything from the grocery store. Not a single bag, not even milk. And she always came home just after 10 p.m., perfectly styled, not a hair out of place. I decided to test her. One Tuesday, I told her I had a work meeting that would keep me late, so she could take her time with her aunt. Instead, I left work early, parked 2 blocks from our house, and waited. At exactly 6:35 p.m., Claire stepped out the door in a beige trench coat I hadn't seen her wear in months. Her hair was curled, her lips painted a deep red. She got into her car and drove off, not toward the highway that led to her aunt's town, but toward downtown. I followed her from a distance, my heart pounding so hard it was almost hard to keep my grip on the steering wheel. She stopped in front of a sleek, glass-covered hotel. Without hesitation, she walked inside. I waited for 15 minutes, trying to calm my racing thoughts. Finally, I went in. The lobby was warm and smelled faintly of vanilla. I pretended to be on my phone, scanning the area. She wasn't in the lobby or the cafe. Then I saw her. Across the open mezzanine, near the elevators, Claire was laughing, a head tilted, hand brushing against the arm of a tall man in a navy suit. He was holding a keycard. They disappeared into the elevator together. I stood frozen, my stomach churning. I could have confronted them right there, but something inside me told me to wait. If I confronted her without proof, she'd twist the story, make me the jealous, controlling husband. No, I needed undeniable evidence, so I left. That night, I barely slept. The next morning, I told Claire I had an important work project and wouldn't be home until late. Instead, I drove to an electronics store and bought a small GPS tracker and a discreet audio recorder. By Thursday, I was ready. When she left for her aunt's, I slipped the tracker into her car. I followed her again, and sure enough, she drove straight to the same hotel. This time, I didn't just watch. I went up to the reception desk, slipped the clerk a folded bill, and asked for a copy of the room number tied to the man's reservation. He gave me a smile that said he'd seen this sort of thing before. Room 614. I walked away before my rage could get the better of me, my mind already racing with how I'd use this information. The pieces were falling into place, and soon, so would she. I didn't confront her right away. That's what she would have expected, a burst of anger, a scene she could twist into her own victim story. Instead, I played it cold. For the next week, I acted like everything was normal. I kissed her goodbye in the mornings, asked about her day, even offered to pick up takeout for dinner. All the while, the GPS tracker and recorder were doing their work. By the following Tuesday, I had enough. The GPS history showed the same hotel visits, same time frames, same man. The recorder in her car had captured fragments of phone calls, her voice low and playful, saying things like, "I can't stop thinking about last night, and I'll see you at the usual place." That's when I put the rest of my plan in motion. First, I called her sick aunt. She was surprised to hear from me, and even more surprised when I asked how she was feeling. Her exact words, "Oh, honey, I haven't seen Claire in months." Perfect. On Thursday, I took the day off work without telling Claire. Instead of following her this time, I went to the hotel an hour early. I booked the room directly across the hall from 614. My hands were steady now. No more shaking, no more pounding heartbeat. This wasn't just suspicion anymore. It was a hunt. When Claire arrived with him, I waited until the door to their room closed. Then I walked over, phone in hand, and knocked. Silence. I knocked again, louder. Finally, the door cracked open, and there she was, wrapped in a hotel robe, eyes wide like a deer in headlights. Behind her, the man stood shirtless, frozen. I didn't say a word. I just raised my phone and hit play. Her own voice from the recorder filled the hallway. "I'll see you at the usual place." The color drained from her face. I handed her an envelope, divorce papers, already signed on my end, along with a USB drive containing every scrap of evidence, GPS logs, audio files, and photos I'd taken from the hallway camera I'd hidden earlier that week. "Send this to my lawyer by Monday," I said, my voice calm. "Or I send it to yours." And his wife. The man swore under his breath. Claire started to cry, reaching for me, but I stepped back. "You lied to me, repeatedly. You're not going to lie your way out of this." I left the hotel without another word. By the end of the month, the divorce was finalized in my favor. Thanks to the proof of infidelity, I kept the house, my savings, and didn't owe her a cent in alimony. As for the man, turns out he was a married executive at a local firm. His wife got a copy of the USB too. I heard later she took him for half of everything. The best part? Claire still doesn't know how I managed to stay so calm through it all. That's the thing about revenge. It's a lot more satisfying when it's quiet. I just wish I'd seen the truth sooner. But now, I'll never ignore the little details again. What would you have done? Confronted her in the hotel, or waited to destroy her in court like I did?